Recording in progress. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Let's
I
start with
get
the Mangachara.
so there's just three of us, right?
Yes, I'm sure the rest are on their way to join.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Do you want to start with the Mangalacharan?
Yes.
Okay. How far did you I missed last night. How far did you go with the purport and last night? Was it finished?
We really did not do an extra paragraph last night. Mostly what Her Grace Panchalika Mataji did was recap of what we've been doing for the last one. Yeah.
I see. I
So we are,
see.
yeah, we
Okay,
are still in
great.
the pub. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Joy.
Okay. We can start with the Mangacharana prayers.
Yes. You do the Mangalacharan prayers. Haribol. Prasanatma, Haribol. Jai Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Jai. Never
Hare
pronounce.
Krishna, how are you?
And thank you, Prabhu. Hope you well.
Good, good, good.
Just
Who's
hung.
doing the Mangalacharan prayers? It's not me.
Okay. Maybe Your Grace, Prashant, kindly, you can do us the honors.
Okay, Haribol.
Very good.
ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादं सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमस्ते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे बिंदवानीश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Welcome everyone to today's session. We are
Oh.
doing Srimad Bhagavatam.
So, go ahead. Is it me now? Haribol?
Yes, Prabhu,
Hello?
but you Hare
Can
Krishna Prabhu,
anybody
but
hear
you
me?
yes we can hear you Prabhu, but your video is gone off.
Okay.
Your video has a
My
problem.
video
We
is
can see.
off.
Okay, now we can see. Hare.
Oh, I see. You can see now? It's okay
Yes,
now?
yes, yes. Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. So we're ready to start. Okay, I'll just read the verse again. Rite ritam yat pratiyeta na priyeta chatatmani tadvijanatmano mayam yatabaso yata tamaha. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. So, from what I recall, I went as far as Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. So I'm going to continue from there. And maybe how much is left? I'll read the next paragraph or two of the purport. Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 34, continuation of the purport, answer by citing the Lord's version. The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The sane man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So this is an important point. Now, Prabhupada uses this expression quite a lot, the sane man. Throughout his books and all, so many of the purports, Prabhupada uses somebody who's sane or somebody who's dhira, somebody who's sober. Then he reaches this obvious conclusion that we should be serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one way or form or another. So Prabhupada is saying here, the sane man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Prabhupada is kind of loosely referring to all devotees as pure devotees. Of course, there's a lot of mixed devotion, but Prabhupada is on the assumption, Prabhupada is speaking from the highest platform. So he's thinking about us, the followers of the Prabhupada Nugas. Prabhupada is assuming that once we embrace the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, then we're automatically going to give up everything else and be on the topmost platform. Of course, it's not always the case, but because Prabhupada is a pure devotee, he's thinking only of the ultimate welfare of everyone. And he thinks in terms of once you embrace the philosophy, you'll automatically be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, in the mood of constantly increasing that devotion. So he's saying here, stating the quotation, paraphrasing the quotation from Bhagavad Gita 10:8. The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord only. So we kind of Haribol?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes, yes, yes.
Sorry, I've no idea what happened there. It just completely disappeared from the screen. Everybody disappeared, including me. I don't know what happened. Is it back now?
Yes, it's back. Your video had started a bit glitchy. It was a bit glitchy, but now it's okay.
Yeah, I keep getting the notice on the screen that my internet connection is low. Anyway, we'll continue. We'll try. So continuing with the purport. Although the reflectory energy of the Lord displays various illusions to the eyes of persons with a poor fund of knowledge, the sane person knows clearly that the Lord can act even from far, far beyond our vision by his different energies. Just as fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. In the medical science of the ancient sages, known as the Ayurveda, there is definite acceptance of the Lord's supremacy in the following words, and it goes to give those quotations. I looked up those quotations. I couldn't find a translation for them, and Prabhupada is not giving them here in the purport. There is one supreme person who's the progenitor of this cosmic manifestation and whose energy acts as prakriti, or the material in nature, dazzling like a reflection. By such illusory action of prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of the living energy of the Lord. And the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or physiologist in the drama of prakriti, while the sane person knows prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. So again, Prabhupada is using the expression, the sane person. He knows prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. It's just like when we go to a theater, or we go to a movie, maybe a better example. So the actors are on the stage, the people are in the movie, everything is going on, but it's all an act. And if it's a very professional act, then we become absorbed in the whole mood of what's going on the stage. But actually, if you're sitting in a theater, you're watching a play or you're watching a movie, that movie is just some light being projected to a ream of plastic film that's traveling at speed through the projector. And it's projected onto a white piece of cloth, and we become so absorbed in that. If it's a comedy, we laugh, and if it's a horror, then we're in fear. If it's romantic, then we become absorbed in that whole thing, and we become completely absorbed in the whole mood of the reflection of this piece of plastic with light passing through it. And for us, it's just real, and we become emotionally affected one way or the other by what we're seeing on the screen. But it's just that, it's just a movie being projected on the screen. It's just actors acting on the stage, on the play, on the stage of the play. And we become absorbed in that. We become affected by it. So the same with this life that we're going through, this whole material sojourn that we engage with, we become so affected by it, but it's not the reality. It's like when we're in a dream, we can dream that we're engaging in so many activities, and we're being attacked by a lion, or we're falling into a river, or we're sitting on the throne as a king or a queen, or whatever the case may be. We're being worshipped, or we're a beggar, we're a pauper. So many things can go in the mind in the dream. None of them are real. Absolutely nothing of it is real. And when we wake up in the morning and we realize, we're not being attacked by a lion, we're not being attacked by a tiger, you're not falling off a cliff, you're safe in your own bed. But for us, the dream is the nightmare, the dream is the reality. It's actually happening. We're convinced. So you wake up in a shock and, oh, what happened there? But you're in bed, you're in your own home, you're asleep in your bed, comfortable. But the dream is the reality. So similarly with this world, as we go through these different lives and these different bodies and so many different species of life, for us, that is the reality, but it's not. It's a dream. The whole thing is a dream. Even when we're waking, in the waking state, when you wake up from the night where you wake up from the dream and you realize you're in your home, you're in your bed. Even that is a dream. That is also an illusion. So how can we say there's something we can touch and feel and taste and smell and have relationship with people? How can we say that that's an illusion? It seems a contradiction in terms. There's no contradiction because we're identifying with the temporary nature of what is going on around us, society, friends, family, love, and so-called all these interactions that we have and these experiences that we go through in life. We're relating to those as being our natural condition when they're not. They're also an illusion. They're also a dreamlike state. We're convinced I'm an African, I'm an Asian, Chinese, whatever the case may be, or I belong to this particular society, or I belong to this particular religion. It's all completely and totally an illusion. Why is it an illusion? Not because it's not real. Of course it's real, but it's temporary. Addiction. That's where we fall short. We're eternal, but we're totally convinced that this so-called reality that we're surrounded by, and this reality is confirmed, totally confirmed by all the relatives that we have and all the interactions with all our different relatives, our family, our friends, so on, our job, whatever the case may be. It's confirmed that they completely and totally affirm what we believe to be reality. So they're also an illusion. And until and unless we reach the stage where we can understand, no, this is temporary. Yes, it may be real. Just like in another purport I read, Prabhupada was describing how on this planet, this tiny insignificant planet, which is like a grain of sand on the beach. It's so this whole universe is like a grain of sand on the beach. What to speak of this planet, or what to speak of this country? We have a salt ocean. So we read in the Bhagavatam, there are other oceans. There's oceans of liquors, there's ocean of milk, there's ocean of honey, there's all kinds of oceans in different planets, inconceivable to us. But yet the inhabitants of those planets, they can realize their oceans. We can only realize our little salt ocean on our insignificant planet, because that's all we know. That's the whole broad vision of our experience in life. We don't understand anything else. So we go through the whole thing in life and we're convinced, yeah, this is the reality. So this section of this whole Prabhupada's books is bringing us into the higher reality, the higher plane. Just like I was, this quote here from the Ayurveda. Because the Ayurveda works on a completely different level to our allopathic medicine. It's a completely different experience. It works on the very subtle levels of the body, which we don't understand in the West. In the West, like with everything, including medicine, we want and we need instant gratification. You go to the doctor, you get an injection, bang, and bang. You want to be better in a second. Whereas the Ayurveda, it deals with the long-term results, and it deals with in a more organic way than we deal with in our understanding of life. There was one scientist from Switzerland, Narby was his name. I read this, The Cosmic Serpent. I read this book many years ago. And it was about the different forms of medicinal treatment. He's also a medical doctor. Different forms of Ayurveda. And a lot of the devotees, even the devotees in the West, they stick with the Ayurvedic principles and they take Ayurvedic, as I do, for various ailments in the body. And they work. They work very well. It just doesn't work in the same way that we're used to in the West, where we have instant gratification for everything. But then, of course, when you get the Western medicine, you get a whole list of side effects that comes with the Western medicine that you take. And the side effects, they're not actually side effects. They are the effects. This medicine, of course, they convince us to believe that, these are just side effects. It's only rare, but it's not. These are the effects of this medicine. This is actually what happens when you take this medicine. Whereas in the Ayurveda, we don't get that so much because we're more careful, more dealing with the organic state of the body. So there's this Jeremy Narby who wrote this book, The Cosmic Serpent, and he was saying that he went to South America and he had experience of the Amazonian Indians in Brazil, where they actually talk to the plants. They can communicate with the plants. To us, this is inconceivable because we have this this narrow vision of what we can deal with in life. We have this tunnel vision of if it's not within my scope of understanding, then it doesn't exist. So just like for the Aborigine, living in the jungle, if you try to explain an airplane to him, it just doesn't work. He can't understand an airplane. It's inconceivable. But for us, he went into the jungle in South America, and he had kidney stones. And he described the kidney stones. The local people that he went with into the jungle, they hadn't a clue what a kidney stone was. He was trying to explain to them through a translator what was a kidney. They didn't know what he was talking about. But as they went through the jungle, they came across this plant, and they said, "Oh, this plant here. If you take this plant and you make a tea from this plant, it will melt your kidney stones." So he said to them, "Well, how do you know? You don't even know what a kidney stone is." And he said, "Well, the plant just told us, because they have this communication with plants. We're all connected. We're all connected in so many different ways. But our vision of understanding, just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, and Prabhupada was explaining in one lecture, he said that we're dealing in the material world with 3 dimensions. We have length, we have breadth, we have height. So these 3 dimensions we understand as the basic laws of physics. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, he was explaining, in reality, there are millions of dimensions. Millions of dimensions. So this is inconceivable to us. We can be sitting here in our room in this broadcast, and so many other things would be going on that we're not even aware of. Just like a dog can hear, a dog can smell 1,000,000 times more than we can. And there's so many birds and animals and living entities who have greater capacity to see than we can. Just like the eagle will fly 2 or 3 miles high in the sky, and the eagle can see a mouse walking on the ground. Whereas for us, we need a telescope. We can hardly, we're limited in our vision, we're limited in our hearing, our sense of taste and smell, everything is limited. We don't operate to the fullest capacity. We don't have the spectrum of light that we can take in. It's much, much more limited compared to so many other living entities here around us on this planet right now. So to get onto a level where we can conceive that there are other aspects to life, other dimensions, that is inconceivable for us. So Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, there is one supreme person who is the progenitor of this cosmic manifestation and whose energy acts as Prakriti, or the material nature. So that even the material nature we don't understand. What to speak of the spirit? We're guessing, we're speculating, we go through the whole of our life and we just say, oh yeah, it could be this or it could be that. And then somebody comes up with a theory, and there's a theory of evolution, and there's a theory of gravity, and there's a theory of this. Prabhupada said on so many occasions, the idea of all the planetary systems being held together by gravity is just nonsense. We don't accept it, just like we don't accept that that they went to the moon. So when Prabhupada was watching it, Prabhupada was watching it in 1969 with his disciples in New York. They said, "Oh, Prabhupada, they're going to the moon. They're going to the moon. We should watch on TV." So somehow or other, somebody got a hold of a TV, brought it into Prabhupada's room, and they all sat down. They watched it. And Prabhupada said, immediately, Prabhupada said, "No, this didn't happen. There's no way that this happened." So immediately, so many of Prabhupada's followers, they left. Prabhupada, we're looking at it. It's on TV. How can you say it didn't happen? So there's so many things that are, within our scope, within our vision, that we're willing to accept because we saw it on the TV. The BBC told us, CNN told us, so it must be true. No, it's not. It's not. It's complete and total fabrication of lies. That's all they do. So on a morning walk in Denver, in Colorado, one devotee was, one of the sannyasis from New Vrindavan was walking with Srila Prabhupada. I forget his name. And he said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, since the age of Kali began, we've been so much in illusion. And because it's such a fallen age, we're going worse and worse and worse into the illusion. Prabhupada said, no, it didn't happen since the age of Kali began. It didn't happen just 5,000 years ago. It only happened in the last 200 years. So the devotees were surprised. We thought it was the effect of Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said, no, it's not like that. It's the last 200 years, 150 to 200 years, that the age of Kali has really cemented itself. So devotees were surprised. Well, why is that, Prabhupada? What do you mean by that? So Prabhupada then said, well, it's only in the last 150 or 200 years that since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution that we have become so degraded. Because before that, before the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we noticed those of us who are coming from Europe, particularly from England or Ireland, where I'm from, even when I was a child, which is not okay, it's maybe a bit too far back to go, but even when I was a child, the whole country was centered around agriculture, and that's only the last 50 or 60 years. What to speak of 100, 150 years ago that Prabhupada is referring to? Everybody lived, even in England and France and Germany and Sweden and all these, so-called modern civilized countries. The whole society was based on agriculture, on producing food and bringing your excess to the market and selling it, and interaction and barter and trade and things like that. So Prabhupada said, since the Industrial Revolution, everybody was sucked out of the villages, sucked out of the rural areas, sucked off the farms and brought into these horrible industrial, ugra karmic cities and places of industry. I mean, the whole thing in Birmingham, where I used to live, the whole place is centered as being the home of the Industrial Revolution. That's why they call it the Black Country. Black Country because there's so much ugra karmic steel manufacturing, ugra karmic coal mining, and so much is blackening the sky with the smoke and everything like that. I mean, just when I was a child, every home was heated with coal. The skies were black 24 hours a day. People were getting seriously ill. So it's only in the last 150 or 200 years, Prabhupada said, that since the drain of human resources from the rural areas, from the farms, into these ugra karmic cities, that the onset of Kali Yuga has really taken place. So we think, oh yeah, this is great progress. Now we have tarmac roads and we have high-speed trains and so on and so forth. But we're going further and further away from nature. Whereas these books, they're bringing us back. They're bringing us back to that's why Prabhupada said 50% of my work is done. We have to set up Varnashram. The real wealth is in land and cows. And we can see how in the 2008 crash, which only took place very recently, the 2008 banking crash, the whole world just simply collapsed overnight. Literally overnight. We were watching it on the on the TV with Lehman Brothers collapsing, and a huge company just collapsed overnight, gone. And they had invested so much time and energy to build up that company, 250-year-old company. It's gone in a second. And constantly, and now we're hearing in the news sources that the world is on the edge of total catastrophe, and they're just slinging themselves headlong, embracing this catastrophe. And who's willing to listen, or being interested in wanting to learn from these purports, from these books? So few. Devotees are so few. Yeah, we have so many temples, and we have so many adherents, so many people following and reaching out to Prabhupada and embracing the philosophy, and that is wonderful. So many thousands of temples all over the world, but the impact we have in terms of the broader society is so small. So we're a very, very tiny little proportion. But such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter, by such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of living energy of the Lord, and the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. So this is difficult to take in. This is very difficult for us to accept, that the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. We have invested so much of our emotional energy in making sure that this material world is comfortable. We're taking care of our family, we're taking care of our children, we're taking care of our wife, our husband, we're sending people to school, we're educating them. So we think, oh yes, this is wonderful, and it goes on like that. And we become comfortable with that environment. And that environment is so attractive, and then we interact with other families, and they interact with us, and we have parent-teacher meetings, and so on and so forth, and everything goes along very nicely. And we're thinking, oh yes, I'm okay here. You know, we have our income, we have our house, we have our mortgage almost paid off, and so on and so forth. So we think, yeah, this life is comfortable. It's not. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. It's danger at every step. And the danger is becoming immersed in this magnetic attraction that the material energy is so strong. And we become so immersed in this magnetic attraction to this energy, we become sucked in and we become comfortable. The most dangerous situation in the world that we can ever experience is to become so immersed in the comfort of our life that we can say, oh yeah, I'm okay now. I can go to the temple, I can take darshan, and but this is not the reality. This is not us. This is not where we belong. This material world, no matter how much we try to make it comfortable, it is no fit place for a gentleman, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said. So we can't allow ourselves, even as devotees, we cannot allow ourselves to become immersed in this comfort zone that we create around ourselves. We have to be always striving for higher and higher and higher purposes and higher goals in life, and reaching out to really completely and totally commit ourselves and be convinced with the confidence that we can generate with that association of like-minded souls. We can gain that confidence to completely submerge ourselves into the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Nothing else is reality. Everything else is an illusion, no matter how comfortable it may appear to be. So this is the stark reality of life, and we're surrounded by this. That's why devotees go out. I was watching a little clip from Mahavishnu Swami today that he sent me, where the devotees were chanting on the streets of London, and they were getting one Muslim man dressed in his Muslim clothes to chant and dance on the street. It's so nice to see. This is the reality. This is where it's at. Prabhupada said, I started this movement with a pair of cartels sitting under a tree in Tompkins Square Park. And eventually, some people came along and listened to me, and Brahmananda and Achyutananda, they were sitting down, they were chanting, and they were the first two to stand up and actually chant and dance at the same time. And Prabhupada mentions them in his books. There's only 3 devotees that Prabhupada mentions in his purports: Achyutananda, Brahmananda, and Govinda Dasi. Govinda Dasi, she of course got praise from Srila Prabhupada because she started to grow tulsi in Hawaii from seeds that were brought from India. So Prabhupada praised her. So little drops of water wear away the stone. So Prabhupada started off in a very small, very humble way, but then look at the way it grew. And the movement embraced the whole world. So the dynamism was there. The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or a physiologist in the drama of Prakriti. A scientist or a physiologist in the drama. So it's all a drama, and we forget that. And we sometimes, most of the time, we relate to it. No, this is real. I have my friends, I have my associates, I have my family. So this is all a drama. We're just playing out this role. This family that we have now, it's not that we're neglectful. It's not we're not ignoring our children, ignoring our family, ignoring our society. That's not the point. But we are literally living in a drama. We won't have this. We didn't have the same family, society, friends, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers in the previous life, and we won't have them in the future life. They're just temporary relations. As Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, when the river is flowing along the river, then the twigs and the leaves and the branches that fall into the river, they come together and they flow together, and then they hit a rock and they're broken up and they go in their separate way. So we're flowing along in this river of life, but in our case, it's life after life after life. So we come together, we get so absorbed in these relationships and these emotions that we build up with the mind, build up with the senses, and build up with the subtle contacts that we make with so many people, that they become the reality. But it's not. We need constant reminding, this is not the reality. The reality is Goloka Vrindavan, Gopi Bharta Kamalayur, Dasana Dasana Das. This is our reality. By such a conclusion, the physiologist in the drama of Prakriti, while the sane person knows Prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. Here we go, sane again, sane. So what's the opposite of sane? Insane. So the sane person knows this is just the illusory energy of the Lord. We're just in a drama. The insane person becomes totally absorbed in the drama and considers himself or herself to be immersed in the drama so much to the extent that they think that the act that's going on the stage, the act that's going on in the movie theater being projected on the screen, that's reality. No, it's not. It's just an illusion. It's a reflection of reality. And we're so absorbed in the reflection, just like you look in the mirror, so many things are in the mirror, but they're just a reflection. You can't go into the mirror and enjoy what's in the mirror. It doesn't work. It's simply a reflection. We take that reflection as being reality. So Prabhupada goes on to say, by such a conclusion as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, it is clear that the living entities are also a display of the Lord's superior energy, para prakriti, just as the material world is a display of the Lord's inferior energy, apara prakriti. The superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor of the energy, or the fire and the heat. So this is an important point. And it may appear that it's one, because we are spirit, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit. We are also spiritual beings. Our original constitutional position is that of a spiritual being. We are absorbed in our original condition, in Sat Chit Anand, eternal. We're full of knowledge and we're full of bliss. This is us. This is who we are now. But are we fully cognizant of the very fact that we are eternal? Are we fully aware of the fact that we are full of knowledge? Are we fully aware of the fact that we're constantly blissful and constantly happy? No, we're not. So then we're not really in our original position. We're not really in our original condition. So we're affected by the external material energy. But whilst we are spirit, there's a difference between the microscopic spiritual spark and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like Prabhupada is saying, the fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. So when you're sitting around the fire, you're sitting around the fireplace, you're taking the advantage of the heat from the fire in the winter, as we used to sit around the hearth. When I was a kid, we didn't have central heating. Everybody sat around the hearth. Everybody sat around the fireplace at night to get the heat from the log fire or the coal fire. But the heat that's coming off, just like the sunlight that's coming from the sun, it is connected to the sun, but it is not the sun. There is a difference between the sunlight and the sun itself. There's a difference between the individual soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the sun is the source of the sunlight, obviously, and the heat that comes from the sun is also the same as the sun, but at the same time, different. Fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. This simple thing is not understood by the man with a poor fund of knowledge, who falsely claims that the fire and the heat are the same. So it's a very direct analogy that Prabhupada is giving here. This energy of the fire, namely heat, is explained here as a reflection and not directly the fire. And that's a fact. It's a very simple point. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord. How simple is that analogy? The fire and the heat. The living entities, therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities. So we're the living energy. We are coming from the same source as the Lord, the same spirit. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord himself. And even our own devotees, our own senior men. This was a big controversy, even in Prabhupada's time. A big controversy when the senior men started spreading the rumor in New Vrindavan that we've been so offensive to Prabhupada. This is in the very early days. We've been so offensive to Prabhupada. We've been treating Prabhupada as an ordinary spiritual soul, but actually Prabhupada is God. So they spread all these rumors, Prabhupada is God. And we have to curb this offensive mentality and start treating Prabhupada as God. When Prabhupada heard that, he went ballistic. And all these voices were removed from their positions immediately, all severely chastised. Yes, the spiritual master, he shall be treated as good as God, because he's representing God. But the living entity is never God. There's only one God. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord himself. Being the reflection of the Lord, the existence of the living entity is dependent on the Supreme Lord, who is the original light. This material energy may be compared to darkness, as actually it is darkness. And the activities of the living entities in the darkness are reflections of the original light. So that's where we are. These tiny, tiny little sparks that come with the sunlight. They're connected to the sun, but they're not never the sun. But they have the same energy as the sun. They're coming from the original energy of the sun. Of this verse, by the context of this verse. Non-dependence of both the energies of the Lord is explained as Maya or illusion. No one can make a solution in the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. So we can never be complacent. The reflection of sunlight in the darkness is unable to drive out the darkness, but the sunlight outside the reflection can drive out the darkness completely in the room. Therefore, a person in the dark is afraid of snakes and scorpions, although there may not be any such things. But in the light, the things in the room can be clearly seen, and the fear of snakes and scorpions is at once removed. Therefore, one has to take shelter of the light of the Lord, as in Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the reflective personalities who have no touch with the Lord. So we're not interested in the karmi world and what they think, say. They have no touch with the Lord. These reflective personalities who may appear to have so much respect in the material world, the likes of the United Nations, which Prabhupada just criticized relentlessly, constantly. They set up their United Nations to stop war, and all they've done is perpetuate the cycle of war, to perpetuate the cycle of birth and death and disease and old age. They don't have a solution for anything. And yet they meet and they have their general assemblies and they have their security councils and so on and so forth. It's all an illusion, a complete and total illusion, trying to be the Ishvara. Yeah, if we come together, but we come together with what purpose? Simply to enhance the sense gratification, because the violence is going on in the world is restricting the sense gratification. So let's try to stop the violence so as we can increase our sense gratification. The whole objective is wrong. There may be some idea, yes, we want peace, we all want shanti, but what is the use of this peace if it's just bringing about peace? We want to get out of this prison house, get out of this material world. There's no use, when you've been sentenced to a prison sentence, 5 or 10 years in prison, and then finally your sentence is up, and you walk out the door of the prison. The guard opens the gate. Finally, you're out on the street. You're back in your clothes again. You're not in a prison uniform. You have your little bag of belongings that haven't seen for the last 10 years. Now you're out of the prison. Then what do? Just stand at the prison gate for the rest of your life? Oh, now I'm free. So devotee is not even interested in liberation. A devotee is interested in service. That's our only objective. That's our only goal, to be servant. Gopi Bharta Kamalayor Das Anu Das Anu Das. This is what we want to do. This is our objective. Well, that's why we're so different from all these mundane organizations that exist all over the planet, supposedly to improve the whole lot of human society. And it does the opposite. They have the best of intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and we can see that. The Lord should be understood by the context of this verse. No one can make a solution of the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. In darkness, no one can see the things in the room. So, no one should hear Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who does not believe in the existence of the Lord. Such a person is already doomed. And any association with such a doomed person makes the associator also doomed. These are pretty heavy things. We don't like to hear these things, but these are actually a fact. We have to be grounded in reality. We have to be grounded in sanity. We don't want to be a part of the insane world. But then, our definition of insanity, our definition of sanity, the Vaishnava definition of sanity versus insanity is very different from here Prabhupada is reflecting on the whole material world and the whole interaction of the karmi world and the ugra karma that they're all engaged in, and he's calling it straight out what it is: insane. A sane man is not bewildered by such a thing. But then this sane, the definition of sanity from our point of view and the definition of sanity from the karmi's point of view is totally different. And this sometimes becomes as a shock to us who are kind of tottering on the edge. Well, do I go with the karmi world, or do I actually go with the world of the Bhagavatam? This is a decision we have to make at every moment in time, and it's not easy because we're used to this. We're used to this comfort. We're used to this life, relative comfort compared to what others are experiencing. But even that's not the reality. That's something we're going to have to come to terms with. This is pretty strong stuff. No one should hear Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who does not believe in the existence of the Lord. Or anything. We shouldn't hear anything from a person who doesn't believe in the existence of the Lord. Such a person is already doomed, and any association with such a doomed person makes the associator also doomed. So we'll finish on that particular paragraph, and the next speaker would start on the paragraph beginning according to the Padma Purana. So that's as much as I have to say on this verse this evening. I know we're a little early, but I'm being called to do something else right now, and it's 5 to 9. If there are any questions or comments, I'd be very, very happy to try to answer any questions or comments. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Urmila Mataji, I see there's a notice here that's saying that you're the host. Is that right? Hello.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes.
Haribol Bhakta Mugo, is that you speaking?
Yes, I'm the host today. Sorry, my internet is also very much.
Jai Prabhu. Thank you. Anything? Any reflections? Any thoughts?
Yes.
Any ideas? Any comments? Questions? Objections?
On mostly when the term sin is used in this purport. Now, as I am rotating in a psychiatry rotation in med school right now, and I cannot fail to see the insanity of those patients right now. And the sad part also when I read at Bhagavatam is even the doctors, we are also very much insane if we do not know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all you're doing is just giving them drugs, seclusions. We are also in the darkness, trying to illuminate those who are also very much in darkness.
Yes. It's a fact. Until we recognize the soul and the nature of the soul and the interaction between the soul and the body, we're all in darkness, all of us, not only the doctors, everybody, we're all in darkness. Without the mercy of Prabhupada, where would we be? We're completely lost, completely and totally dependent on Prabhupada. Prabhupada comes straight from the spiritual world to enlighten all of us. And it's not only your associates, all of us. I come from an engineering background before I joined, and we thought, we knew everything. I have a piece of paper that's saying, I have a degree in this and that and the other. It's an illusion. And then we go through life thinking, yes, I have my degree, and I have my PhD and my master's, and I'm qualified. Okay, that's fact. You are qualified. It takes a certain amount of intelligence to reach that stage in life. There's no doubt about it. And all praise to those people who do go on and have a higher education. We're not decrying that. We're not belittling that. But then there's so much more. We're just touching a tiny, tiny little fraction of what is within our capability, and we limit ourselves to this understanding that the modern scientific method of education, as simply as Prabhupada said, it's a slaughterhouse for the mind. This is a sad reality. Yeah. Slaughterhouse for
A
the mind.
slaughterhouse for the mind.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very heavy.
That doesn't mean it's useless. That's not what Prabhupada meant. But when we become so absorbed in that whole indoctrination, like the modern medicine today, basically, I'm sorry to say, doctors are just drug pushers. They're just drug dealers.
I agree
on
with you
behalf
completely.
of big pharma. But it's not only doctors. All the sciences, they're going down the same route. This route of illusion. We can't just pinpoint the doctors. They're all in the same boat. It's engineers, lawyers, politicians. It doesn't make any difference which career you go after. It's they're all following this phantasmagoria of illusion. Become successful in your career, and then that's it. And then it's just anyway. That's for another debate for another time.
What would you advise somebody in my position to maybe to help in those who are maybe mentally so much into like the hospital, into the hospital? They are so mentally deranged that they are confined in a hospital setup. Is it prashad? Would it be good
Yeah,
or just
prasad is the
prashad?
secret weapon. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Prasad is the secret weapon. And that book, that little book, Life Comes from Life, that's a great book.
Okay.
That is a
Nice.
great book to give to people, because without life, without the previous life, life comes from life. We don't manufacture life. It's not a combination of chemicals. If it's a combination of chemicals, Prabhupada used to say, then here, I'll give you the chemicals, you make the life. You can't even make a mosquito.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. We become so absorbed in our little career path that we think, yeah, I'm the bee's knees, but there's more to it than that. There's more to it, a lot more. Okay,
Thank
so
you also for
we'll
this
finish
in
there.
Algeria.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience again. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. We can end by chanting one round of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare.
Kalpatruvascha,
Chaturvascha,
Kripasinavim cha,
Satyavimcha,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Satyavimcha,
Namaha. Shri Vaishnav Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
All
This
glories
is
to the
Vidura.
assembled devotees. Haribo Prabhus, thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Good night.
You too.
Hare
Haribo.
Krishna.